For years, whispers about Meghan Markle and Prince Andrew's mysterious yacht life floated around like background noise. People heard the rumors, raised an eyebrow, maybe even shared a knowing smirk, but it all seemed too far-fetched, too murky, too easy to dismiss. But then, oh, the drama, receipts began surfacing. Not just wild gossip, not just tabloid chatter, real testimony, real statements, from people who were there, from people who knew. And those receipts? They didn't just add a messy chapter to Meghan's already complicated story. They flipped the entire narrative upside down, because suddenly, the Meghan we thought we knew, the fairy tale duchess, the humanitarian, the rebel who walked away from the crown, looked like someone else entirely. This wasn't the shiny Disney tale we were sold. This was darker, edgier, more dangerous, and it tied Meghan directly to Andrew in ways far more intimate and far more scandalous than anyone dared imagine. And it all began, unbelievably, inside a prison cell. That's where one infamous voice lit a fuse Meghan has been fighting her entire life to keep from exploding. Every time you think Meghan Markle's saga can't twist into something wilder, another curveball smashes into the spotlight. But this one? It didn't come from some faceless royal aide or a desperate tabloid stringer trying to sell stories. No, it came from none other than Ghislaine Maxwell. Yes, that Maxwell, the woman forever chained to the ugliest, darkest corners of Jeffrey Epstein's world. For months after her arrest, Maxwell was silent, locked away, forgotten. But then whispers leaked out. She was talking again. And this time, her words weren't riddles, they were daggers. She pointed her perfectly manicured finger straight at Meghan Markle. According to a leaked prison statement, Maxwell claimed Meghan wasn't just some Hollywood actress looking for her big break, not just a Hallmark sweetheart dreaming of royal tiaras. She hinted that Meghan had something far more sinister in her past, a so-called CV. And no, not the kind you'd hand to a casting agent or employer. This one was said to list something darker, adult games. That was the phrase Maxwell allegedly used, playing the adult game. 5 little words, vague yet chilling, unforgettable in their suggestion. She didn't spell it out, but she didn't need to. The mind fills in the blanks. When it comes from Maxwell, a convicted insider who knew Epstein's darkest secrets, people listen, even when they don't want to. So, what was this mysterious file? Not a list of acting credits, not a neat page of auditions, charities, or networking dinners. No, this alleged CV painted an entirely different picture. A version of Meghan's pre-royal life no one wanted to imagine. A world of private, adult-themed entertainment, risky encounters, and elite circles where power and money mixed with indulgences best kept hidden. And here's the dagger to the heart. Meghan has spent years constructing her fairy tale. The underdog who married into royalty, the brave woman who broke free from palace suffocation, the feminist voice who stood tall against tradition. But the mere suggestion of a file like this, proof she wasn't the squeaky clean duchess, but someone who had once played in far darker arenas, shattered that carefully polished image. Even if exaggerated, even if distorted. Once people hear it, they picture it. And once they picture Meghan in that light, the image lingers like a shadow. Maxwell hadn't just hinted at scandal, she had planted a ticking time bomb right in the middle of Meghan's pristine PR machine. But the danger didn't stop with Maxwell's whispers. Because Meghan's name didn't only pop up in prison chatter, it showed up in court filings. Yes, the very same filings connected to Virginia Giuffre, the woman who took down Epstein and dragged Prince Andrew into the spotlight. Virginia wasn't a bystander. She was the witness, the one whose testimony forced Andrew's downfall, whose words became headlines around the world. And according to her lawyer, Meghan wasn't some distant stranger. They knew each other. Not a passing hello at some Hollywood party. Not a vague rumor of a meeting. No, they actually knew each other. Enough that Meghan's testimony under oath could have mattered, could have confirmed who was present, who was on those yachts, who participated in arrangements that later became evidence in one of the darkest scandals of modern history. For Meghan, that was the nightmare thread, the one she prayed no one would ever tug, because once her name was tied into Virginia's legal battle, the narrative shifted. Meghan wasn't just a rebel duchess or even a bystander. She became someone who may have known far more than she ever let on. And here's where things turned from whispers to dynamite. In court papers and insider accounts, Meghan wasn't described as just a passing acquaintance of Andrew. She wasn't even called an associate. The phrase used was far heavier, close companion. That wording is no accident. In the world of legal filings, words are weapons. Close companion means familiarity. It means time spent together, moments shared, conversations overheard. It implies Meghan wasn't standing on the fringes of Andrew's world. She was inside the circle. And what did that circle represent? Epstein's scandal, the ugliest royal crisis in living memory. Andrew was warned by advisors that once the files surfaced, the fallout could destroy him. And right there, tangled in the narrative, was Meghan, young, ambitious, orbiting power. Picture it. Meghan, long before she became the Duchess of Sussex, mingling in the shadows of yachts and gilded rooms, cultivating ties with powerful men in powerful circles. That close companion description doesn't just reframe her, it rewrites her entire origin story. This isn't guilt by association. This is intimacy, access, opportunity. And in scandals like Epstein's, proximity is everything. But the storm doesn't stop with who Meghan spent time with. It extends to something far more damaging: her relationship with the truth. Remember the biography Finding Freedom? Meghan swore she had nothing to do with it. She let the press run with the idea that she hadn't fed the author's information. She even leaned on that claim during legal proceedings. But then, boom, the receipts dropped. Emails, messages, direct input. Proof that she had indeed been working with the writers all along. The result? Meghan was forced into a humiliating climb down. Not because she misremembered, not because of a misunderstanding, but because she had deliberately crafted a false image. And here's the kicker. That wasn't a small fib. This wasn't a white lie to a friend. This was in court, legal territory, a place where truth matters most. And Meghan was caught bending it. At best, she was being selective. At worst, she lied. So naturally, the question forms. If Meghan can twist reality in something as trivial as a biography, what happens when the stakes involve Epstein, Andrew, and federal investigations? Would she suddenly become transparent, or would she double down, shaping reality the way she always has? Her history answers that question, and it's not one that builds trust. And then came the silence. Maxwell's bombshell prison words, Virginia's filings, the phrase close companion, the whispers turned into full-blown speculation. And Meghan? She said nothing. No fiery legal letter, no bold denial, no quick statement shutting it all down. Instead, she rolled out more Instagram-perfect smiles, business pitches, curated lifestyle snaps, and silence where it mattered most. But silence in scandals is never neutral. Silence screams. Because when someone hurls a baseless smear at you, the instinct is to squash it immediately, loudly, publicly. Meghan didn't. Critics called it avoidance. Supporters called it strategy. But for the public, her silence only fed a more dangerous question. What if she actually does have something to hide? And the cruel irony? Maxwell, a convicted insider with shredded credibility, might have been dismissed on her own. But Meghan's refusal to fight back gave those whispers oxygen. Instead of killing the story, her silence acted like fuel. If that alleged CV ever surfaces, whether real or twisted, Meghan faces a trap with no escape. In the court of public opinion, silence looks like guilt. Denials look like spin. And if she dares to sue, the case shifts into discovery, the part of legal proceedings where evidence must be produced. And that's Meghan's nightmare. Because if a document like that exists, discovery would drag it into daylight. And in the public eye, perception often outweighs truth. Once people believe there's a compromising file, no glossy PR campaign can repaint that picture. Attorneys have already shown they considered Meghan's name valuable in filings. That alone puts her in the danger zone. She doesn't need to be guilty. She only has to be close enough for people to wonder. Because when Epstein's shadow falls across someone, it doesn't take much. A whisper morphs into a headline. A headline becomes a scar that never fades. Meghan has spent years crafting her own empire. The podcasts, the glossy interviews, the pastel lifestyle businesses with jars of jam arranged just so, the smiling Instagram shots with hand-picked lighting. To her supporters, she's the modern duchess who broke free of the palace and found her voice. But all of that, all the branding, every perfectly worded press rollout, looks fragile when set against the shadow of Epstein and Andrew. Because branding is surface, perception is everything. And one leaked file, even exaggerated, could blow apart that delicate empire in seconds. It's the classic contrast, a palace of glass sitting beside a bonfire. And with just a few words, Maxwell may have tossed in the match. Now Meghan stands at a dangerous crossroads. On one side, the so-called CV remains buried, lost forever in shadows, never proven. On the other, something dressed up as truth bursts into the light. If that happens, Meghan's silence, her denials, even her carefully polished PR machine won't matter. The file, real or not, will define her. Instead of the duchess who escaped the palace, she'll be remembered as the woman who carried secrets too dark to admit. Right now, Meghan's strategy seems clear. Bet on time, smile for the cameras, push the lifestyle brand. Pretend the whispers don't exist. But time can be cruel. Secrets have a way of resurfacing when you least expect them. And that's the gut punch of this saga. It's not in tabloids or palace squabbles. It's in the words of Ghislaine Maxwell, a convicted insider from Epstein's empire speaking from a prison cell. She didn't drop Meghan's name casually. She didn't say it for fun. She used words that burn into memory, playing the adult game. She hinted at a file, a CV, that could shatter everything Meghan has built. From the outside, Meghan's world still looks polished, curated, controlled. But behind the curtain, her silence tells another story. A silence that doesn't shield her. It fuels suspicion. So Meghan stands on the edge of a cliff. Either the document stays hidden forever, or one day it comes crashing into daylight. If that day comes, Meghan's past won't just be exposed, it will consume her, redefine her, and overshadow everything she's tried to become. The end game is brutally simple. The world is watching, and Meghan knows it.